Hello there. I know I usually record music and upload it to my channel, but recently, because I started getting into streaming my music, I also had the idea to record some games that I like that not many people know about, because I thought maybe somebody likes watching this. If not, well, whatever. So this is a horror game. Point-and-click adventure, kind of. And when I played it for the first time, I was like, man, that's a point-and-click adventure. That can't be very scary, can it? But actually, it turns out I was wrong. It's a pretty scary game. It has a very nice atmosphere. And yeah, I would just like to show it to other people. Maybe you like it. So turn off the lights and let's begin. There is a lot to read in this game, so if you want lots of action and boo jump scares, this is not for you. This is more like, yeah, for people who like horror stories. Because yeah, there's a lot of written stuff in the game. Very well written in my opinion, but still, if you want lots of boom and boo, and don't like to listen to somebody reading story stuff, then just skip this and look for something else. Well, let's begin. The premise of this game is we are playing an author of horror books or suspense books, and apparently he has hit some kind of writer's block, and for whatever reason, I don't know, he thinks it's a good idea, in order to get some inspiration, to move into an old, run-down Victorian house in the middle of the forest, very secluded, in order to get inspired by the atmosphere of that house. He doesn't seem to be rich, he just got it very cheap, and, well, let's see what he finds there.
I arrived at Blackwood Manor one cold Saturday morning amidst a thick veil of fog. The weather didn't look good, and there was an unnatural calm surrounding the area, yet I soon became entangled with the place.
If you like stories from Edgar Allan Poe or Lovecraft, or things like The Shining, this might be for you. Saturday, October 12th. The cloudy sky above me seemed rather unsettling, and almost made me lose my balance. I felt a curious urge to run for shelter, and my new home in the distance seemed very inviting. Well, let's have a little look around first. Here's our car. Not very spectacular. Let's grab the keys. Maybe we need them later. Anything in the trunk? It was the boot of my car, which, considering my non-existent technical expertise, I hoped I would never need to open. Alright. Doesn't that just look ominous as hell? I'm not sure I would... I mean, no matter how much of a writer's block you might have, I'm not sure I would move into the middle of the forest into something like this. Here's an interesting bug, by the way, because I haven't applied the patch for this version. The graphic on the door is flipped. If you try to select the handle, nothing happens. First time I played this years ago, I got stuck at the very beginning, because this is where you have to click. So yeah, graphic is flipped. The patch corrects that, but I was too lazy to apply it. So that was our inventory menu. With very little effort, the key unlocked the front door.
Hello?
Michael, it's me.
Hey, Jerry. It's good to hear your voice.
I see that piece of junk you got there is working.
My thoughts exactly. I was afraid it'd fall apart as soon as I laid my fingers on it.
So how did you find everything? Do you like the place?
It's hard to tell yet. I'm very impressed, that's for sure.
You sound odd. Is everything okay?
Yes, it's perfectly fine. It's just that I'm in awe. I mean, pleasantly surprised. This house is like a dream come true.
So you do like it? You got me worried there for 1 second.
I'm telling you, I'm going to turn this place into a factory of horror stories.
Good. You ought to finish that book. I'm rooting for you, mate. You sure everything is in order?
Well, I just got here. Let me have a look around, and I'll get back to you if I find anything strange.
Excellent. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. First of all, we will go to our sleeping room. I remembered that Jerry said a nice room had been prepared for me upstairs. I quickly realized that this had to be my room. It became evident why, as I glimpsed the gorgeous view through the huge window. The view was inspiring. Jerry had picked the right room for me. It would be ideal when doing some work. A beautiful oak desk was standing against a window with an extraordinary and inspiring view. That little table could come in handy. My luggage was feeling heavier by the minute. So let's put it there. Michael aRdW, I guess. So this is our name. Vanishing Town. Not gonna read all this. There's more than enough that I will read, but this is not that important to the story. It's just the back of the book that he wrote. There's a pen. Here's some phone numbers. Barbara. No idea. Jerry P. Carter. That seems to be the guy we talked on the phone to earlier. So he is a real estate agent. He's a real estate agent. He must be the guy who sold us this odd house in the forest. To Michael aRdW. So this is for us. I think this is a letter by Jerry actually. Michael, it took me a month, but at last I think I have managed. Well, I mean think, so to speak, as there are only a few details left. But I can confirm with certainty that the house is yours. I owe you an apology because I didn't think it would take me that much time. I tell you, I'd have never thought that finding a Victorian house at no more no less than in Rothburg would have been so hard. The majority of the old houses in this region are either impossible to live in or they belong to the aristocracy. As if Sorry, as if that wasn't enough, you and your bloody whims, was it really that necessary being so cut off from town? Why all this sudden need for solitude? Well, as long as you don't become one of those typical hermit writers. Anyway, the beauty will take your breath away. It belonged to a wealthy family that always took great care of it. Around the mid-60s, it became the property of one person, I believe a friend of the family. He lived there for about 5 years or so and then abandoned it. Yes, you're right, abandoned it. As far as I know, this lunatic, a renowned doctor, spent his last days getting drunk in lousy bars before vanishing from the face of the earth. Why someone would do that is beyond me. The house then became the property of the National Trust, and, surprisingly enough, no one ever did anything about it. That is until I rescued it from oblivion, of course. It took me a lot of work, so I hope you like it. The price is just as we discussed earlier. I know it's hard to believe, but the price of the interior was never agreed upon. So whatever you find inside, be it furniture or long-lost Rembrandt, however you pronounce that, it's yours. I mean, I know what it is, I just don't know. But whatever. Just remember our deal. If you find anything of great value, you have to share it. Now, I won't bother you if your sofa collection happens to be valued in the thousands, but if you bump into a hidden cache of money, and you can never know really, then I want a piece of it. Wait a second. If you happen to sell any important items you find inside the house, such as your sofa collection, I should get a part of that too. Business is business, my friend. By the way, I sent 2 people over yesterday to clean it from top to bottom. 6 years without inhabitants must have left a nice coat of dust, don't you think? They couldn't do wonders, though, and you are going to need weeks to fully clean that place. Oh, they told me the house seems to have a rat problem, but you can't have it all. Should you need anything, don't hesitate to give me a call. Your friend, Jerry. So he's not just our real estate agent, but also our friend. And so there has been a family living in this house until the 60s. And after that, a doctor who was a friend of the family lived here next. And then at some point vanished. Okay. I was eager to start doing some work, but the idea of exploring the place was too tempting. The ending. Have to come up with a suitable ending. The final twist was the most celebrated aspect of VT. It was the novel we saw earlier, the book that he wrote. They will tear me apart if I don't pull off another thing like that, but how? I'm up to the point where Steve goes mad. She's confused. Steve is a she? Or am I not reading that correct? Oh, whatever. The visions are becoming real, so now we know for sure there's a supernatural element in the story. Wait, is that really so? Question is, does it have anything to do with the creepy old lady or not? Would it be too obvious if her powers were real after all? Big question. Would people accept it if the solution to the story is unreal? Damn, why am I trying to please everybody here? No, on the other hand, a realistic solution disguised as supernatural. Is that possible? They're expecting something like that, a real and probable outcome. That's what they loved in VT. Bloody hell, this is driving me insane. So yeah, as you can see, he seems to have some kind of writer's block, not blog. What else do we have here? Anything in this direction? It appeared as if a doctor used to sleep in this room. So, the doctor who took over the house in the 60s probably stayed in this room. And this must be his. I grabbed the stethoscope, which seemed to be about the only useful thing in the bag. Huh. Okay. So, let's explore some more. unusually surprised after entering this room. It was some kind of gallery, its theme being African culture. A letter from 1962. Dear James, I'm going to make use of these resting moments to thank you once again for your kindness. Those seals that you have donated to us are wonderful. If it weren't for you, our section dedicated to African objects wouldn't be anything else other than a mere collection of photographs. Also, I've been looking into these Dalmar you mentioned. I have to say, they seem to be rather fantastic. If it wasn't for your personal account of their activities, I'd dismiss them as old wives' tales. I found a few books mentioning them, and I'd be very happy to lend them to you. They will be mailed at once. I hope you can satisfy your curiosity. Cordially yours, Simon Russell, Director of the Durham Museum of World Arts. The lamp seemed to be broken beyond repair, probably the souvenir of a hazardous journey. The beautiful vases. Vases? Somebody can please tell me what the pronunciation is of that again. I forgot. I think it's vase. It's vase in German. Something that looked like a lion's claw was firmly attached to a necklace. All those masks. They made me feel very uneasy. They seemed to be guarding the room. A sleeping room. Maybe the family that lived here slept in this room? Slept in this room? The bed seemed to be comfortable, but too fancy for me. Look at that. Amazing, there was a safe behind the picture. I think I'm not actually supposed to find that already. I just happen to know it. But it doesn't matter if I find it now or later. I don't know the combination anyway. There's some bottles of some kind of medicine here. Nothing else. A diploma was displayed on the shelf. It appeared that the people who lived in the house were very educated. Books on engineering, math, physics, not my thing. I didn't want to go through a bunch of trinkets and perfumes. Nothing in there. Okay. Rundown bathroom, which makes me wonder, how is he going to take a shower? Okay, so we have this cloth. That's it. We can go further upstairs here, but I'm going to go back down first. Tablecloths, napkins, that certainly isn't my thing. It was just some useless junk. I guess that's what happens when you don't water the plants for a long time. Indeed. Anything here? Ooh. I certainly wouldn't have minded trying those expensive wines, except that nobody would have been around to pace me. And, well, guess we shouldn't get super drunk. Ugh. I think this brings us back to the telephone, if I remember correctly. Yes, so we're back at the entrance. There was another door here. A diploma granting the title of construction engineer to James T. Blackwood. And this is the Blackwood Manor. Got an envelope and a screwdriver. That's it. I think, yeah, that one is locked for now. Alright. This seems to be some kind of diary belonging to James T. Blackwood, the person who lived here with his wife. February 6th. The construction of the railway bridge is almost complete and went quite smoothly. It took longer than I expected, yet I wish it would have lasted longer. I will be very sad to leave South Africa. I've become so attached to it, its culture, its arts, over the past few months that I can't help feeling as if it was already a part of me. I will surely return someday. Soon, hopefully, although I'm afraid there is a great deal of work to be taken care of back in Old Britain. Fortunately, I made good friends here, who were ecstatic about my new appreciation of their country. They have offered me some wonderful objects as a token of gratitude, which I have already created and got ready to ship, along with many trinkets I bought myself. It looks like I'm about to start a very substantial collection. It's a good thing Catherine agreed to move into our new home, although I fear several renovations will have to be made. Even more if I'm intending to start a serious new hobby. It seems I'll have to get back to work. John Patterson has just told me some natives are causing trouble, a very unfortunate thing, although I'm secretly rejoicing. February 12th. The natives won't leave. It's not like they're causing trouble so much as they're unsettling our workers. The only complaint so far has been distraction. They just stand still between the trees, staring at us, without blinking an eye. I've watched them for a few minutes, and they truly seem like some tenebrous statues. At first it was just annoying, but lately it has become downright creepy. They seem to be stalking us, so it's not like they're hindering the construction, but there is a general uneasy feeling, as if they were about to jump at us at any moment. I think I will hire some protection as a measure of precaution. February 15th. Fascinating. I've been looking into these natives. They live in a nearby village and are a very small group, yet they seem to manage quite well. I had thought of them as quite an uncivilized tribe, but their movements are calculated and one can perceive a sense of careful organization in their tasks. Oddly enough, they seem to be very brutish and their aspects look awful. Although I couldn't take a good look at their facial features, I followed one of them completely on my own, and it could have been dangerous getting any closer. Also, the village is poor and very rough, but some of the shacks leapt out at us, out as inviting or special. It made me very curious. I will try to come closer tomorrow. February 16th. My second expedition to the village of the natives has been foiled by an unexpected problem at the bridge. I'm afraid it was due to a slight miscalculation on my part, an indication that I should be focusing more on the task at hand and put my sudden love for all African things aside for a moment. It was my fault, and I accept it. February 20th. They are at it again, lurking beyond the forest. It's amazing how they have changed our perception of the surroundings. At first we were delighted by the quiet nature of the place. Now we fear what horrors might be concealed in that dark and foreboding cloak of trees. The tops loom above us, overshadowing the bridge, and strange noises haunt our meals. Even the river telling ungodly secrets. We could be, of course, a bit more sensitive towards distractions, but I can't help feeling the area has in fact become more sinister. And yet, I'm still looking forward to satisfying my curiosity about the tribe. February 24th. At last, I found something more about the neighboring tribe. This is an incredible finding, and I just can't withhold my excitement. Some elders at the local town happen to know about them, but only through stories they heard. The most surprising thing is that the tribe was assumed to be extinct long ago, but according to my vague descriptions, the elders think that we could be dealing with a legend here. Everything they ever learned of them was during their childhood, when the tribe was stalking the town, much in the same way they have been stalking us. People used to call them Dlam. As such was the sound of screams heard echoing late in the night. They'd come out into the streets and see an evil glitter atop a hill in the distance. Some would say it was a fire, others the cursed spirit of an ancient god. Whatever it was, they say the bright light amid those fantastic screams was bone-chilling. The macabre scene would suddenly stop, just as it had begun, out of nowhere, never to be seen again in days to come. Intervals between those horrible nights became longer and longer, until they soon faded into oblivion. Until the tribe apparently had retreated back into obscurity. Until now. They were later known as the Dalmar, a rather more scientific name, although none of the people I spoke with could possibly remember its origins. I find it extremely surprising that nobody has ever heard about this tribe, with the exception of a few townspeople. They must be incredibly rare, and judging by the stories passed on from generations in the town, very old. February 27th. I will confess that I've become nearly obsessed with the strange tribe. I see them as the most prized goal of my appreciation towards all South African things, a dangerous yet irresistible reward. I feel as if they were my discovery. I simply have to study them before leaving. I fear I won't have the chance to ever again. It has become an important goal of mine, even more important than finishing the bridge. March 4th. Finally, I have managed to see them. My God, what a disturbing spectacle. When we arrived, they were moving around the village very slowly, without speaking or communicating with each other, each minding his or her own business, completely alien to the rest of the world. They were filthy looking, coarse and downright disgusting. I couldn't see any weapons, but they could have been stored somewhere. It was all very strange behavior in a tribe. They must be quite unique. Then, as if they had suddenly all become possessed by some wild spirit, they began shaking spasmodically and screaming like mad. Some of them dropped to their knees and lifted their heads to the sky, eyes blank and moaning in an indescribable way. Two of them walked away, still in that monotonous and slow manner, and in great contrast to the rest of the scene, into a shack. The next minute, they brought out into the open an odd-looking mask. Its shapes, colors, and overall looks, while unsettling, were mesmerizing, and I felt instantly hypnotized by it. It rendered my modest collection of African curiosities into dull and uninteresting items. The mask was very ominous, and the whole tribe seemed to greatly revere it. Soon they began to gather around it and move in circles, fluttering and chanting a guttural psalm. Judging by their motions, an aspect of the whole ritual, it must have been some kind of war ritual. I'm not sure how to explain what happened next, as I feel my pulse is already throbbing. Words fail me to recount the most disturbing thing I've ever witnessed. One of the male villagers walked into the middle, near the mask, by his own will. It was an almost automatic act. All of a sudden, the remaining members became silent. I can't tell for how long it lasted, but I was afraid to breathe. I think Dolby and the others were also scared. They wouldn't even blink. I remember being soaked wet and expectant. The silence was so unnatural. Then a few members separated from the people circling the mask and jumped on the single villager, beating him to death. To be completely faithful to the event, the small crowd tore him apart. They grabbed his legs in twos and threes and twisted them in a manner I dare not describe. His face was disfigured with their bare fingernails and teeth, and the torso soon disappeared under the frenzied tangle of hands. In a matter of a few minutes, the villager was turned into a red sack of bones. Not one of the attackers had the compassion to snap his neck during the sickening process. All was very methodical, as if it was just another mundane task. The most terrifying aspect, though, was that the victim didn't even cringe. The silence was so deep, I could hear his flesh ripping. I would expect any living creature to scream its guts out in such a condition. I can't tell whether he was drugged or half asleep, but I did recognize him dancing like everybody else before walking into the middle of the circle. It was the most outrageous and sadistic sacrifice I've ever heard of. I don't think I will ever forget what I saw. My intentions of approaching further, even if they didn't have any weapons at hand, vanished. These creatures, I dare not call them human beings, could have killed my whole company in the blink of an eye with their rage. They seemed to be completely out of themselves and willing to destroy anything intruding into their path. While the images of the sacrifice still haunt my thoughts, I still can't seem to forget that mask. It was so deceptively simple and yet perfect in its design. I haven't seen anything like it. I surely would love to take a better look. I feel that Dalmar, dangerous as they are, could be the most important ethnical finding in decades. What I've seen today is crying for some further investigating. I just can't leave them like that. I would never forgive myself. And the mask, that mask. I was ecstatic after reading the journal. The material was incredible. So now we know why there is a gallery with African objects upstairs. And we know that the family Blackwood, who lived here first, the husband, James, was in Africa, working as for construction of railroads, I think. This is back in the main hall, as you can see. But there is one part here that still needs to be examined. There's another diary to read. This time, it is, I don't think it tells you yet, but it's also not a problem already knowing this, because if you don't, it just confuses the hell out of you. This seems to be the diary of the doctor who took over the house after the Blackwood family, well, wasn't there anymore, for whatever reason. April 20th. During a fit of rage, I burnt my previous diary. Not that I regret it, as if my disjointed notes were worth anything. Their only purpose was to keep me sane. I feel that this is my escape route, my only means of finding some inner peace. Whenever I put my pen to this paper, I feel that I can reflect upon my situation. I just wish I had more options, that's all. But I'm rambling. I must think clearly. Focus. Focus. May 12th. I've become an eternal guardian, stuck between few choices, none of which are good. Do I fulfill a promise and violate everything that I believe in, the very principles of my life, or am I condemned to spend the rest of my existence in this deadened state, a ghost with no other purpose than just being here watching? I truly have no escape. I can't find an appropriate solution to this problem, and I must pay the price. I'm a shadow of the man I used to be. Only these notes remain, my testament in these moments of meditation, my sole companion. June 26th. Today I spent the entire afternoon staring at the window, my mind a blank. Oddly enough, I really didn't care. It seems now as though it was something natural for me, a part of my personality. But I know the reason very well. I've lost my soul. I'm an empty shell, devoid of any feelings. I renounced them on that fateful day, and the worst thing is I knew there were going to be consequences. No, that's not true. Consequences were far worse than I expected. How could I be so blind? January 25th. I often wonder what would have happened if we had simply reversed it all. What would happen if right now I came out and told the world what really happened? No, I'd end up rotting in jail, although that might be a better destiny compared to this eternal suffering. November 17th. I can't say for sure when it began. I just heard them one morning, coming from next room. The whispers. Are they real? Have I been alone for too long? They won't stop. I can't stand it any longer. February 9th. Ever since I locked it away, that everything seems to have calmed down a bit. Perhaps James was right after all. It's madness, I know, but at this point, I'd be inclined to believe anything. May. Over the years, I was convinced that everything James suffered was a misfortune, a whim of destiny. For the first time ever, I'm not so sure anymore. I never thought it could happen, but I believe I understand now. If this is so, then cursed be my soul, poor James. If I had acted in another way, then maybe things would have worked out differently. But it's too late now, and I have to suffer my Calvary. Calvary? What is that? September 30th. The noises are back, although this time they're different. Before, I'd only hear them inside my head, as if someone or something was whispering, and how to put this, interrupting my thoughts. But now I can really feel them spreading around the house. What are they? September 14th. I've realized the noises are coming from down there. I don't want to think about it anymore. December. They are unbearable. They get worse at night. Oh, how I wish it would stop. What is going on down there? I don't dare go near. I don't want to know. May. God, how many years have passed. I have lost all sense of time. I have to get out of this place. Oh. I wondered how long that cup of coffee had been sitting there. Let me just check if I can get the message again. No. I clicked away the message. I think he says something about, similar to the other, how exciting it was. And how weird what he just read. Now, there are a few places left that we haven't looked at yet. The kitchen is one of them. We can go there through here. You may remember this is where it goes upstairs. And I think here's just a drawer that won't open. Yes. This is the kitchen. I intended to brighten up the whole place, but to my surprise, the lights wouldn't work. A key holder, except there weren't any keys hanging from it. It was just an ordinary little table. The interior of the refrigerator was begging for some serious cleaning, not to mention a powerful disinfectant. Just in case, I tried again, but still, there was no power. The bed in this room was miserable looking. Practical photography. Okay. The topmost sheet of paper of the pile had some curious markings on it, so I grabbed it to have a closer look. I think this is the old trick where you take a... do we have a pencil? I think there's one here, yeah. where you... Oh, wait. Ah, look at this. This is the kitchen. This was the light switch I tried. And this was the thing where you hang keys. And there is a key here. And there's a vase below it. And if I remember correctly, this basically is supposed to imply that the key fell into the vase at some point, and we have to find the vase. Now we can combine this with that. Yeah, I managed to reveal what appeared to be a letter in Italian. Unfortunately, we don't speak Italian. Housekeeping. This, I think this is the maid's quarter. When the Blackwood family still lived here, the maid was living here. And she, yeah, looks like whoever stayed in this room loved photography. The maid, I guess. Some more pictures here. This is actually what we saw in the intro. The pictures. It's the manor. This must be James, and Catherine was the name of his wife. This is a crypt, so there is a crypt somewhere. The fountain. And the bathroom and the... not the bathroom. The kitchen. And the right door, which is the door to the basement, looks like it's slightly open. I think there was something I could still find in here. Oh yeah, let's try the basement door, because that is always the best place in any horror game, right? The door to what I assume was the basement was locked. Well, I'm glad about that. Anything here? Door to the oven was firmly stuck in place. Yes. A knife. That's what I was looking for. Is there anything else? No. Okay, I think that's all for the kitchen. Now, let me think. What else should we do? I think there was another floor. No, wait. I can actually... I think the... Yeah. Over here. This should be the vase where the key is. Yes. And that might be the key to the basement.